Hello, good evening, good evening. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing fine. It's your teaching artist, Charlie Newton, here for one more Splash Live art class. I'm excited about what we're going to do today. Matter of fact, I'm going to attempt a drawing that I haven't done since high school. The type of drawing that I haven't done since high school. We're going to draw the body, the human body, but we're going to use a comic book character to draw the body. And I just want to show you kids, and I'm talking to kids age 4 to 94. I want to show you what you need to be concerned about when trying to draw the human figure. If you're 5 years old, I want you to try to draw with me. We'll probably do 2 drawings. The first one would just be a basic breakdown of the landscape of the human body. And so, with that being said, let's get started. So here you see I have a model of a figure. And what this model does, it shows you the basic dimensions of the human figure. This top part being the head. And a lot of kids forget that everybody has a neck. And the head can turn and swivel on the neck. So this little model here shows all of the joints. And then notice the figure has a torso, or this would be the chest, and this area here would be the stomach. So these balls here represent the shoulders, and you see the shoulders can swivel up and down like that. It don't go with this model. I like this model because the shoulder don't really, it's hard for it to go up like that, like our shoulders. And this represents the elbow. This little ball here represents the wrist. So kids, when you're drawing, remember that the head is connected to the chest or the body by the neck, and the arms are connected to the body by the shoulder. And you have the top part of the arm where you have the bicep and tricep, and then you have the elbow, which swivels, and you have the forearm, the wrist, and the hand. This is the hand, and this is the wrist. The bottom part of the torso here is what this would be considered the hips, okay? And you have the upper thigh area here, the knee. Turn to the side. The knee, see, that represents the knee, the ankle, and the foot. So you want to get all of these sections. Usually the thigh is not as long as far as, in most adults, as the hamstrings and the calf, the bottom part of the legs. So you want to make sure you break your figures up into those sections. Let's do a sketch. I'm going to do a quick sketch of this figure and rehearse what we just said. So I'm using the 2H pencil. So first you want to draw the head, the shape for the head. Remember, we draw shapes first and then we do details last. So the head is sort of like an oval, and the top part of the head, of course, is smaller than the bottom part of the head. Then you have ears on the side here. I'm not interested in the nose or the eyes yet. I'll just indicate where they go in the mouth. Then remember to draw the neck, and when you draw the neck holds the head, and it's going to come down underneath the jawbone area. Sometimes if the person is very muscular, this line would be on the outside of the jawbone. And then you have the shoulders that goes out from the neck, and there's a little bone here called the clavicle. I don't want to get into the bones today, but the shoulders are usually for an adult It's different for children. We're just drawing an adult now. The same width as the width of the head. See, I could draw, if I draw an oval that's basically the same size as this head, for most men, then the shoulders would be that width. For the ladies, the shoulders would be a lot smaller. It wouldn't go out as far, as wide. So now you have the torso or the body, and part of the torso is the chest area. And underneath the chest, that's the rib cage. This is for everybody. And then you have the stomach. Okay? And kids, I want you to look at this. I want you to try to draw this, because the human body is the most beautiful piece of architecture that you will ever see in life. And by practicing drawing the body, you will become an all-around better artist and drawer. A lot of people are afraid to draw the body, so they never really learn how to draw. So let's do an arm. So you have the shoulder, then you have the bicep, which is kind of like an oval shape. The shoulder is more like a circle. The bicep sort of like an oval. Behind the bicep, you need space right beneath the bicep for, on the other side of it, that's where the elbow is. Then you have the forearm. Then you need some room for the wrist at the end of the forearm. The forearm is like a long oval as well. I'm going to draw the bicep on this side, and I'm going to have him bend his arm so that you can see the elbow. So the elbow sort of sticks out like that. See that? That's the elbow. Then you have the forearm, which has muscles. We're not talking about muscles yet. Then you have an area that's sort of flat where the wrist is. This area here, like a little rectangle. And then you have the hands. And just, kids, what I want you to remember about the hands is that there's a thumb which is shorter than the other fingers. Now, I don't want to get much into drawing hands now, but you can make a shape similar to this one and have the fingers come off of that shape. The middle finger is a little longer. You can look at your own hand and you can see what it looks like. I want you to try to practice drawing that. And at the end of the thumb, you have this oval shape here. Then there's some space here. And then the fingers are there on top of this shape. It's sort of like a rectangular shape. Now I'm just going to draw the hand here to the side. So now you have the groin area where you put your shorts on. That's the abdomen groin area. Then you have, there's the thighs. That's the upper leg, thighs. You have muscles, so that shape, see how it's like an oval? We're still trying to find shapes here. And then you have the knee, which is like a little ugly shaped bone. And beneath the knee, you have the calves. And then there's like a bone here. The muscles are at the top of your calves, right here, this leg. Then you have some space, and you have the ankle, which is another hinge. You have the ankle. And the foot. The foot has a heel, an arch on the bottom of the foot, top of the foot and the toes. If you're looking at it from the front, it looks sort of like this. So that's a basic shape, sort of like this figure here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attempt to draw a comic book figure, because I love to do comics when I was in school. In junior high and high school, that's all I did, as a matter of fact. I drew comics. So I'm going to draw the Flash. So you can get, if you want to draw the Flash with me, get a hard lead pencil, a B, 2B, or it could be an H. And we're just going to draw the shapes first. Now, this Flash, we're going to draw this Flash in perspective. We've been talking about perspective. We're going to do a, really, it's really a 1-point perspective. He's going to be coming at you, like in comic book fashion. And I'm looking at some comics to try to copy. So let's do the basic shapes. Of the head. Now I'm going to start the head down lower. See, when you sketch, see how you can just change your mind? So I'm drawing in the basic shapes, but I can change them any way I want to. He's coming at you, the Flash. So it's just like this figure coming at you like this, coming towards you. This arm is back because he's running fast. It's just like, have you ever seen a runner off the blocks? It's just like when a runner leaves the blocks. Like when the gun is goes off. You know, when ready, set, then bam, the gun goes off. So he's going to be coming at you like this. Okay, in perspective. Okay. Leave that. So now here's something for some of you older artists. When I say older, I mean, say teenage on up. Teenage on up. Especially the ones who like to do anime, and we may do some anime. I've never done anime, but I can copy just about anything. So we may come back and do anime. I know anime is very popular now. What I'm doing, I'm just sketching. This is actually called a gesture drawing. Talking to the older students now. So a lot of times in your art, it's okay and you want to actually exaggerate. Not just in the comics, but in anything that you're doing. If you're trying to make a statement, you have to find out, where can I exaggerate this drawing to get a point across. And that's what this artist has done, who drew this Flash picture here. I'm not sure which artist did this one. I'll figure it out in a minute. So I'm doing a gesture, which is basically, I'm drawing what the figure or the body, the figure is doing. I'm trying to draw with my line. I'm trying to show what it's doing. Not what it looks like, but what is it doing. So this guy has superhuman speed, and he's coming right at me. And nobody can do it better than the comic book artist. So when I say exaggerate, that means I might make something larger or smaller than it would actually be in real life. I wouldn't put detail everywhere. I would lose details somewhere. So I'm trying to draw how it feels when this figure is coming toward me. Okay, so this is basically what I've done is outline the shape, sort of where everything goes. And I'm going to try to do this similar to how the comic book artist would have done it. In the future, you know, what I may do is I'm going to connect with some comic book artists and let them come and show you exactly how to do it. Okay. So this is basically, I've sketched it in. I need to exaggerate it some more. Okay, but I'll do that later on. So now what I'm going to do is sketch some details. I need to get another pencil or sharpen this one better. I guess I'll get another pencil. And I'm still using a 2B pencil. My pencil sharpener is so powerful, sometimes I just sharpen it too much. I'll try this. Okay, so you can see, because the splash is coming at you, you can see the top of his head. So there's a lot of room up here for his head and forehead. And I'm just drawing these lines that I've shown you before. My students, you have to see every class, because I'm teaching something sort of new and old with every class. So we know that the face have those lines so that we'll know where to put the eyes. I haven't drawn this way since I was in high school, so I'm going to try not to talk as much. Now, just the way I draw, this sketch that I've already made is not set in stone. I can change whatever I want to and whenever I want to. You have freedom. That's what kids need to learn. You have the freedom to change your mind in the middle of your drawing. So it really don't make sense. You know, sometimes kids say, I messed it up. Well, you haven't finished. You're never finished until you say it's finished. His eyes are not dead center. So that's why I've drawn his eyeballs over here to the left-hand side. I didn't know these little lightning bolts that the splash have. I don't know how I'm going to get those on there. My goal is I'll do a black and white today. I may not be able to finish it with color pencil. You could do this you could color it with markers or color pencils. And I had in mind to use color pencils. Anybody know what these little earpieces are for? These little antenna earpieces on the splash. Flash. I said splash, didn't I? Yeah. We are flat. We are splash, but this is the flash. So yep. So I'm noticing now that it's different than when I was a kid. His uniform is slightly different. It has more detail, but that's okay. This is the bottom lip here. So when these guys do comic book drawings, they really make the shadows look dramatic. And that's why I want to ink it in. And in the comic books, they draw with pencil. One person draws with a pencil. Then another person comes back and inks it. And that basically, that means they draw with ink. In other words, they trace over the pencil with ink. Splash have all those lightning bolts. I think that's from the television show. He looks just like a runner. I wonder if the now what a lot of these artists do, they will actually use models. So that they can make sure they get the figure correct. And then after a while, they can draw it without the model. So you can't see a lot of the Flash's neck because he's coming at you. He's coming towards you. So if he's flat like this, you can see the neck. You can see that area. But if he's like that, you don't see much of it. I'm using my sketch, but I'm making changes. One of my favorites comic book artists, his name is Jim Lee. And every now and then I'll just watch him draw. He does, well, he's done just about everybody. And one thing I noticed is he erases a lot. He's very particular. And even though it might look good to me, if he's not satisfied, he will erase. But he just keep going, he keep drawing, keep erasing, keep drawing. He erases because he didn't actually draw it the way he attempted to. He wanted to. So, or he changes his mind. He don't think of himself as, hey, I'm erasing because I messed up. He's erasing because I can make it look a little better. And he changes things. But you do that when you are experienced. You never erase because you don't know what to do. That's not a good reason to erase. And as traditional art, which is basically what I teach, you don't erase at all. You just try to fix things. Yeah, the Flash uniform is totally different. All these little lightning bolts. When I was young, it didn't have so many. But things change. So he has a circle for a lightning bolt in a circle as an emblem on his chest, but the circle turns into an oval because of the position of his body. And it has a double line around it. Now I'm drawing pretty fast because we don't have a whole lot of time. And I just want you to see it come to life. But you can take your time when doing these type of drawings, to just take your time. And even when doing these drawings, it doesn't have to be exactly like what you're drawing. You're just trying to learn. You can just learn by copying. And the more you do, the better you get, like anything. The more you do, the better you get. You don't have to be an artist to get better. One trap that young artists get in is trying to make something look exactly like what they're drawing, every little nuance. If you want to do that, just take a picture of it. So I'm saying you should draw what you see, you should practice what you see, but don't spend a lot of time on some ridiculous stuff, like these little lightning bolts. You don't have to spend a lot of time on those. It won't make you a better artist. Just draw how it feels to you. That's my suggestion. That's my, for what it's worth, that's my opinion, and I just want to suggest a way to make you get better faster without, it's hard enough that you will get frustrated. So let's not waste time on things that don't matter. The main thing is to get the body, make it look like a figure, make it look like a body, and do the best you can. It's a lightning bolt that goes around his belt. It's like a lightning bolt as well. So I don't know, I may have made this area too long, I don't know. I'm gonna go in there. See. Oh, I didn't. If I hadn't noticed these lightning bolts, I probably wouldn't have drawn this picture. Probably would have drawn Superman or somebody, or Wonder Woman. Muscles, which you don't have to worry about the muscles. I prefer you to focus on the joints right now. He's showing the Flash's foot behind him. His shoes have treads on them. That's totally different than the Flash of my day too. This little curve here, very important. This, what's going on here, very important. Very hard to see, hard to do. See how I have to draw these lightning bolts sort of fast to make them look smooth and make it look like I'm using the point of my pencil, which I could sharpen. So in the comic book industry, one person would do this part, then another artist would go behind. Okay, I'm gonna do the shadows to show you how they would do that. Because some of you guys want to be comic book artists. This is what I'm gonna say. If you want to be a comic book artist, be a comic book artist. You know, and go wherever you need to go to learn how to do that. If you have to go to New York, go to New York. You have to go to Los Angeles. I think New York is the place, though, for some reason, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know about art schools, but when I graduated from high school, there weren't a lot of schools teaching comic book art. They didn't know how the industry would explode. You know, now there are all kinds of jobs at Disney and different places like that, or the movies. Because here's hash marks. These hash marks always represent, right here, they represent speed, but when he does cross-hatching here, it represents like a shadow. So he's using hash marks for two purposes. So what I'm doing now, I'm using hash marks to shade, and what would happen is the inker would come back and enhance it. And what these shadows are doing is trying to describe the muscles. And how the light is hitting it. And remember, the comic book artist is doing everything for impact. And these muscles get sort of complex. So I'm not going to do a lot of it in pencil. I'm doing his abs. I'm doing his abdomen, ribs, cage. Pectoral muscles, or his chest. Probably not going to be able to do color today, but we'll see. Now, I am not a comic book artist, so I'm seeing now what makes this artist unique. And that's the way he's describing some of these. He's actually describing not just muscles, but ligaments and joints and bones as well with his shadows. So this artist, even though he's a comic book artist, he knows anatomy. He knows the body, the human figure. And that's why, you know, if you're going to be an artist, get you a teacher. Either take formal classes in schools, go to art school, or go to a university and major in arts. Or if you can't afford to do that, find your art teacher. The reason why we started Splash is because when I was young, I couldn't afford to take art classes. So that's why we're here. We're here for somebody who knows, you might end up being the next Picasso. And those of you who are my students, if I tell you you're really good, believe me, you're really good. I have some really good students. But if you don't believe in yourself, you end up wasting your talent. And I don't want anybody to waste their talent, because we're on this planet just for a short time. So we may as well be happy. And you'll never be happy if you have art talent if you don't use your art. And I always tell parents that. Parents don't like to hear that all the time. But it has rang true for the last 50 years. All the hundreds of students I've had is that whenever they pursue something else, they wound up getting in trouble and wasting a large part of their life, but they always came back to art because that's what makes them happy. And why can't you be happy? I say be happy. And if you do your best, something will happen for you. You'll be able, you'll make it. Don't worry, you'll survive. Okay, so I've just sort of indicated where the shadows go so I can go back in. I think I'm going to use a Sharpie. I don't know if this Sharpie is going to last, because I just want you to see how they ink the drawing. Okay, this Sharpie is almost out. So I'm going to use an ink pen first, and then a large, and then two Sharpies. But for the real small area. So I'm just tracing what I've already done, but trying to enhance it. See how long it took me to make that line there? Those marks, see how many hash marks it took? Now watch if I use this Sharpie. This Sharpie is running out, but I'll use it until it runs out. It don't take as many because it's wider. The tip is wider. And what I can do, I can actually go back, and I probably will, if we have time, and erase my pencil marks. These are his teeth. I like how they do those. So I'm going to try to use this Sharpie as long as I can, and then I'll use a larger Sharpie. See, that little line there, that's his neck. That little line, this line here I just made, that's his neck. I tell you, a really good gel ink pen works well as also. I'm using crosshatch here. And what this crosshatch is doing is sort of describing the fact that his head is round. Now, I'm sure it did not take the person who drew this flash as long as it's taken me, because the comic book artists, they draw them so often, they just know how to draw them. They just know how to draw them. And it'll just flow out. So remember, the more you do, the better you get. Same thing for professionals. And for artists, if I don't paint for a long time, and I go back and start trying to paint, I'm not as good as I was when I stopped. So if I do a huge painting, I make sure that I start back to painting as soon as possible. Now, no two comic book artists will draw the same action hero the same. Everybody draws different because everybody have their own way of doing things, their own way of expressing things. It don't matter how good, it doesn't mean that one person is better than the other. It just means that they are different. Your difference is what makes you valuable. I need to remember that. I hope you're getting the idea. I can't see his entire hand here, so I'm just going to make up what I think they did. Looks just like a runner off the blocks. A lot of hash marks. I'm going to go back with a larger Sharpie if we have time and make some of these areas even bolder. Now, some artists would be using a brush here, an ink brush for this part. And they may go back with an ink pen later, but I think that's what this artist did when I look at it closer. Their brushes, they're sort of like a pen brush. That's what it's called, I think, a pen brush. So it's a pen, but there's brush hairs. It's softer. This pen is hard. The point is very hard. Okay, so now I think I can go back with a wider Sharpie to show you. Now, if I was using a brush, I wouldn't have to go back with the wide Sharpie. I could have done it at the same time. So I'm going to get some of those pen brushes. Not being a comic book artist, I don't have much use for them. But I think some of you guys like this kind of stuff, so I might do it again. I want you to start thinking about drawing the figure. I started trying to draw Superman when I was 5. So, you know, you learn. As soon as you get started, the better you'll be, better off you'll be. I'm just going to leave this open. See, I'm trying to get these broad strokes in here. These broad strokes is what create drama for the comic book. And when you go back and put color in, it really looks good. Okay, it's almost time to go. We're going to take about 2 more minutes on this. Okay, you know what? The next time on Thursday, meet me right here at 5 o'clock. And I think what I'm going to do is show you what happens when you color it. I'm just going to color it with color pencil. Yeah, I'm just going to color it with colored pencils and see what it looks like. And what happens is it really stands out when you color it. So I'll stop right there. Okay, the flash. So let's color it next time. It's been fun. I went back into my childhood to try to draw a comic book hero. But the main thing is I want you to see how the body is connected, and you can have it in different positions. And so practice at home, replay this video, like us, do everything, make comments, what have you. And until next time, remember, art is for everyone. Bye-bye.